Today we're going to show you how you can turn all this into this. Since we started all this DIY madness, the main thing I keep getting requested to make over and over again is a DIY slider. For instance, this question.
Could you make a DIY camera slider next? That would be an awesome addition to your DIY arsenal of filmmaking equipment.
Yes, today's the day, let's do it. Now, just like all the other builds, I wanted to create something effective that a no-budgeter could actually use, and just like all the other builds, I wanted to keep it as simplistic to make and as cheap as possible. And from all the things I got together to make this, I only spent $9. Now, I'm using some of the leftovers I did from the other build, so if you've been following along with the builds, you'll probably only spend about $9 to make this build. If you're doing it from scratch, it's going to be more like $12 to $15 absolute max. But here's what you're gonna need.
So here's what you'll need.
4 3/4-inch PVC T-joints,
A tape measure,
some screws,
nut,
4 1/2-inch EMT connectors,
a deep handy box found in the electrical section,
a short piece of 3/4-inch PVC pipe,
1 piece of 1/2-inch EMT conduit and or pipe, also found in the electrical section.
Now, the reason I'm using EMT instead of PVC for this build is since EMT is metal, it's obviously a lot stronger and it's not gonna bow under the weight of our camera, which PVC would do. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure the length that I want the run to be, cut it twice. So now that we have our 2 pieces cut, we're gonna take all our pieces and do our painting ahead of time before we do our assembly, and we will be using Filmerite colors, as I said before. Now, the paint is of course optional. You don't have to use that. That'll keep the cost down, but it looks nicer. So now that we have everything painted, it's time to start piecing it all together. So first, what I'm gonna do is mount my 2 slider pipes to the box. The cool thing about this is all I gotta do is punch these holes out, no drilling needed. I'm gonna do the 2 that are furthest apart from each other. And now I take our 1/2-inch connector, unscrew the nut, pop in one of the pipes, and then screw that down. Then do the same thing on the other side. Now, I noticed that these little lips are making a problem for me, so I'm just gonna take my channel locks and bend them in. Now, with that done in the 1/2-inch connectors on my 1/2-inch EMT, I could just stick it through the hole, then take the nut on the other side and secure it on. And the same thing with the second pipe. Now, before I do the same to the other side, I need to create the camera platform. To do that, I'm going to take 2 of these T-joints, slip it onto the pipes. So now with that on the pipes, I'm going to take my other box and connect the pipes to the other side, same way as before. But I'm also using a cover plate that I used in one of the last builds, saving money. So it has some holes in it already, but I'm going to drill all new holes to fit this. So now I'm going to line this up where I need it to be, and I'm going to want to drill through this directly into the T-joints below. Once I made my mark, I can do my drilling. Once I have my holes drilled in the cover plate, I can now drill into the T-joints carefully. Now with all my holes drilled, I can mount it using the screws and nuts. So now it's time to attach the quick release plate. Now, with all the other builds, I attached the quick release plate in the center of the cover plate, which made it really difficult to tighten down the camera. So this time, I'm going to mount it off to the side. That way I can easily get it on and off without the need of an Allen wrench. So now, again, I'm going to mount it just by using a screw and nut. Now that we got it mounted on, the screws are actually sticking out of the bottom too much, so I'm going to take this and actually clip them down to the size we need them. Now everything's mounted, put together, and secured, so the final step is to take these vinyl bumpers, which are going to be the feet for the bottom here, so we can mount it on whatever we want without worrying about scratching up furniture and floors and things like that. So we have everything built and painted, including the platform with the 2 T-joints on the bottom, but now we need to extend this a little bit on each side. Otherwise, once we get our camera on, it's going to wobble like that. So what I did was I took 3/4-inch PVC, cut a small piece, and put that onto a coupling that I can now attach to the T-joint, like so, on both sides, filling it out so now the camera won't wobble once on the track. So now once this is actually on the track, it needs to be moved along smoothly on the track, and one of the problems is going to be that it's going to catch a bit, and if you have your hand directly on this, when you're trying to start slow, you're going to get some jerks. So to keep that from happening, I'm going to take a towel like this. This is a little shop towel you can get in a pack from Home Depot for like $2, and I'm going to cut it into little strips like these, which I'll then fold over on each other, stick through, and then hold out to the top like that, and then do it again on the other side. Now I can put this onto my pipes, but I'm going to make sure that the rag portion is on the top side of the pipes. so that the rags are between the pipe and my PVC. And now I can connect it all back together. So now I can operate this by using the rags, and as you can see, it's a very smooth motion because it's using the rags to pull it instead of my hand. Now I realize that this takes this otherwise really cool looking DIY rig and makes it kind of cheesy looking, but you should actually get black rags instead. It would fit in a lot better and it wouldn't look as stupid. I should have thought of that ahead of time, but I didn't. But the rags are optional, but I find it helps the operation of this slider a lot. So you can do it or you cannot do it. Another thing that you can do is get something slippery like WD-40 or some kind of oil or even PAM out of your cupboard and cover the pipes in it, and that's going to make this run a lot smoother over. It might get a little bit messy, that's the only thing, but you could go without the rags with that and that'll work really well also. But now let's give this a little testy. Logo. So there you go, a pretty decent looking and really effective DIY slider for under $12, which is absolutely insane for how well this thing works. And a few things, again, you don't have to use the rag. You can oil this up if you want to keep it looking really slick. And I know that we only have a quick release plate on here, which means you're only going to be looking forward and having left to right dolly shots with no panning or tilting or anything like that. But if you want to spend an extra $10, you can go to a local store, get a really cheap tripod, break that tripod head off, and then attach a tripod head to the plate instead of the quick release plate, and then you can pan and tilt around to your heart's desire. The other thing I want to make very clear is this is not for professionals. If you do paid gigs, I would not advise you use a DIY rig of any kind. If you have a production company or if you're doing professional work on a set or anything like that, you need the proper gear like Lettuce Direct and Kessler for sliders. I have a Kessler slider and I swear by the thing. It has stuff in it that you absolutely need for professional productions that this just does not cut it for. So if you are on a super low budget and you want to get more cinematic and slick shots, this is a really, really great alternative if you don't have the money. But if you do, definitely get out there and buy the proper gear. I would obviously suggest Kessler Crane right here. Check their stuff out. You'll not be sad. But again, $10. Delicious. And if you're gonna build one and paint it whatever color you want, I would love to see it. Tweet it to me at twitter.com/Ryan_Conley. Also check out our Facebook page and send me some of your test shots. I'd really, really love to see it. But I'll see you guys next time when I found out that Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.